Okay, think about it. Lithium-ion batteries, they're literally everywhere. They're in your phone, your laptop, your car, and even in the massive power grids that keep our cities running. But here's the thing. When they go wrong, they don't just, burn like a normal fire. Nope. They unleash this insane chemical reaction that is a whole new ballgame for firefighters. So what exactly makes them so tricky? And that's really the big question we're going to dig into. See, fighting these fires isn't just about throwing more water on them. It's about a complete, fundamental shift in how firefighters have to think and act. And the reason for that? Well, what's going on inside that battery case it's just something else entirely. It's not the kind of fire we're used to. All right, so here's our game plan. We'll start with why this is such a new challenge. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty science of what's called a runaway chain reaction. After that, we'll check out some of the cool new tools for extinguishing these things, look at how this scales up from cars to massive power grids, and wrap up with what this all means for the future of fire safety. Okay, let's jump right in. The first thing you have to get your head around is that a lithium-ion battery fire, it's not just stuff burning. It's a self-contained, self-sustaining chemical event. It basically creates its own fuel and its own heat. It's a fire that feeds itself. And that right there is the absolute key. Think about a regular fire, right? You spray water on the outside to cool things down, but with a battery, you can spray that outer case all day long and it's not going to do much. The real fight, the real problem, is happening deep inside at the cellular level. You've got to get to the heart of the reaction to stop it. So what is this crazy internal reaction? Well, it all boils down to this one process. And honestly, it has the perfect name for it: thermal runaway. This one concept is the scientific key. It's the reason these fires are so incredibly hard and so incredibly dangerous to handle. So what is thermal runaway? Simply put, it's a vicious cycle. You get a little bit of heat, and that causes a chemical breakdown in the battery. That breakdown releases a lot more heat. And what does that new heat do? It causes more breakdown, which releases even more heat, and on it goes. It's a chain reaction that just feeds itself. And once it gets going, it is almost impossible to stop. And it all starts with just one tiny thing going wrong. A single battery cell might overheat because it's damaged or has some kind of defect. But then, boom. That one cell fails, and it dumps all its heat and a bunch of flammable gas onto the cells right next to it. It's literally like a row of dominoes. One falls, then the next, and the whole reaction can just cascade through an entire battery pack in a matter of seconds. But wait, it gets even scarier, because the flames are only part of the story. You've got this invisible cocktail of toxic, flammable gases building up, things like hydrogen cyanide. That creates a huge risk of explosion. You've also got the danger of high-voltage electric shock from all the damaged parts. And then there's this thing called stranded energy. And folks, this is a total game changer for firefighting. It means that even when you can't see any flames, the fire isn't necessarily out. The battery can still be holding a charge, just waiting to reignite, sometimes hours or even days later. Wild, right? Okay, so you're a firefighter, and you're facing this incredibly complex chemical problem. How on earth do you solve it? Well, you can't use the old playbook. You have to totally re-engineer the solution. And that's exactly what's happening. Firefighters are getting new tools, new tactics, all designed around one core idea: fighting the fire from the inside out. And really, the whole strategy comes down to this one simple, powerful idea: internal cooling. That's it. You can't just cool the box. It doesn't work. You have to get inside and cool the actual cells to break that chemical chain reaction. If you stop the heat from spreading from one cell to the next, you stop the runaway. And check this out. This is one of the coolest new tools for the job. It's called an extinguishing lance. And yeah, it looks like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, but its job is actually brilliantly simple. It's designed to pierce right through the battery's tough protective case and basically flood the inside with water. It gets that all-important cooling water directly to the cells that are overheating and stops the thermal runaway right in its tracks. And here you can see just how well it works, but also how tricky this whole thing is. So on the left, that's the battery pack after they use the lance. Fires out. But now, look at the image on the right. This is what's so fascinating. They did voltage tests afterwards, and you can see the module they hit with the lance is neutralized, but the other module's still at full charge. This is a perfect picture of that stranded energy we were talking about. The fire you can see is gone, but the potential for it to come back is absolutely still there. So we've been talking about cars, right? But now let's zoom out. because this challenge gets a whole lot bigger. We're not just dealing with single EVs anymore. We're building massive energy storage systems, basically giant rooms or containers full of these batteries to support our power grids. And when you scale up the batteries, you scale up the risk exponentially. And to get a handle on these huge new risks, researchers are doing these incredible full-scale tests. I mean, look at this. They literally built a mock parking garage and set an EV on fire inside it. They're trying to figure out things like how fast does a fire jump from one car to the next, and how do we keep the whole building from collapsing? What they learn from tests like this is what's going to be written into the fire codes and safety standards of the future. This chart does a great job of breaking down the difference in scale. So with an electric vehicle, you're worried about thermal runaway and that one battery and the chance it could reignite. But with an energy storage system, I mean, we're talking about a whole different beast. It's massive, it's stationary, and the number one fear? A catastrophic explosion from all the flammable gas that could be released. So the whole firefighting tactic changes, it becomes defensive. Sometimes the safest thing to do is just let it burn and pour all your resources into protecting the buildings around it. It's a totally different way of thinking. So you have to ask, right? With this technology moving at lightning speed, how do we make sure everyone stays safe? Well, the answer isn't simple, but it comes down to two things: relentless, cutting-edge research and developing new, smarter safety standards that can actually keep up with all this innovation. And believe me, there's a whole army of incredibly smart people working on this. We're talking about organizations like the National Fire Protection Association or UL's Fire Safety Research Institute. These are the folks in the labs at incident sites doing the hard science. They're figuring out what's happening and then turning that knowledge into practical, life-saving advice for firefighters and engineers on the ground. And this timeline really tells the story of how fast this is all changing. I mean, think about it. Just over a decade ago, in 2011, they were just starting to figure out the basic hazards. Fast forward to 2019, and you've got NFPA 855, the first real comprehensive safety standard for these big energy storage systems. And today? Now the research is focused on the absolute worst-case scenarios, like how to prevent a massive explosion. You can just see the pace picking up. It really is a race to keep safety ahead of the technology. And all of this leaves us with one final and really important question. As battery technology gets even more powerful and becomes even more woven into the fabric of our lives, can our safety standards actually keep up? The race is definitely on. It's this constant, ongoing effort of research, innovation, and adaptation, all to make sure that the firefighters who run toward danger have the knowledge and the tools they need to handle whatever this new technology throws at them.